You realize by the time Caitlin's out of college, it'll be like the year 2027 or something?
She takes after you. She won't be out of fourth grade by then. Of course, by that time, she'll be working here, so who gives a shit?
This isn't just one of the most fucked up jokes in the entire series. His physical death doesn't happen until the next episode. But as the camera pushes in on his face right here, this is the exact moment he actually dies. To understand why this joke completely shatters him, you have to look at how he ended up in this room in the first place. Walking into the Bing tonight wasn't just a random relapse. It was the final, desperate move of a guy who had systematically run out of options. After rehab, Chris genuinely tries to put the work in. He goes to his meetings, he works out, and he tries to build actual coping mechanisms. He is actively trying to break his own toxic cycles. But getting sober comes with a massive catch.
How's about being normal? That's so fucking hard lately.
When I was using, I was a disgrace. Now I'm sober and I'm a drip. The fuck you want from me?
To actually stay clean, Chris has to set boundaries. He has to avoid his triggers, which means no more late nights at the Bada Bing and no more drinking with the guys. But in the Mafia, if you aren't participating in the vices, you aren't part of the Brotherhood. Recovery asks Christopher to become a different person. The mob rewards him for staying exactly the same. By setting boundaries to save his own life, he accidentally exiles himself. The guys look at his club soda like it's a personal insult. He gets completely shut out by the only family he has. The cruel part is that nobody officially kicks Christopher out. They don't have to. They just make his sobriety so uncomfortable that he is left standing outside the circle anyway.
You, of all people, should understand how hard it is for me to be around that place. You understand the human condition, at least.
And since the club is a dead zone for him now, he is forced to look for human connection somewhere else. He tries the civilian world first. He meets a TV writer named JT in rehab and genuinely tries to have a normal friendship. But the second JT falls into his debt, the friendship evaporates. When things get complicated, Chris falls back to the language he knows best: violence. Since he can't make normal friends, he tries his own blood. He goes up to Uncle Pat's farm to help his cousin, Tony B, dig up some old bodies. And at first, it actually works. For once, Chris is trying to understand his world through the lens of recovery. He even starts analyzing Tony's behavior the way a therapist might.
I learned in recovery that he's just tamping down his feelings, T, by eating.
In this moment, Chris thinks he finally has a real ally.
He's got the world by the balls, and he acts like everything's a big fucking imposition.
Being at the top, he's isolated himself.
They are bonding, working together, and seeing eye to eye. But the second Tony Soprano actually sits down at the dinner table, Tony B instantly throws Chris under the bus to score points with the boss.
Well, if you recover your fucking balls, give us a call. We might like to hang out.
He's a 12-stepper, right?
Maybe he can take another couple of steps out the fucking door so we could have some fun.
Christopher realizes how quickly people change when the boss walks in. On paper, Christopher has status. But emotionally, he'll always be the easiest guy in the room to laugh at. Every time he tries to build a support system away from the crew, it blows up in his face. He needs constant validation, and he projects all of that need onto Tony. He just wants Tony to be the father figure who is finally proud of him. But Tony's support is completely hypocritical. He forced him into rehab because a junkie is a liability to the mob. Tony wanted Christopher sober. What he couldn't tolerate was everything sobriety required.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why don't you have a fucking drink, will you? Because you're driving everybody crazy with this shit.
When Chris puts in the real work of recovery, like avoiding the Bing, leaving parties early, drinking his club soda, Tony takes it as a personal insult. He doesn't see a guy saving his own life. He just sees an annoying buzzkill who isn't fun to hang out with anymore. Realizing Tony is never going to be the father figure he wants, Chris tries to manufacture a family of his own. He marries Kelly, gets the big house, starts a family. But the quiet, regular civilian life can't fix that deep insecurity. It just suffocates him. He has nobody to actually talk to. The irony is that Christopher finally gets everything he thought he wanted: the house, the wife, the daughter, the status. But achievement isn't the same thing as belonging. He built the life. He just never found his place in it. It gets so bad that when he goes to pay a junkie named Corky for a hit, he desperately tries to turn him into a friend. Chris starts talking about his new house and his plans for the holidays, even telling a guy he barely knows,
You'll come over. Christmas Eve, maybe. I'm gonna start a tradition.
It is a devastating detail. He has absolutely no one left. Christopher is so suffocatingly lonely that he is trying to build a yearly family tradition with a junkie tying off in the passenger seat. But Corky isn't Dr. Melfi. Corky isn't even listening. Chris realizes that all this talking isn't actually fixing anything. The anxiety and the isolation are still right there in the car with him. He takes the only shortcut he knows to make the noise stop. He takes the shortcut, and in exchange, the constant screaming need for Tony's approval temporarily disappears. For the rest of the night, he finally gets to go numb. After spending the entire episode looking for connection, he ends the night beside a stray dog. The drug doesn't actually fix anything. When he wakes up, the anxiety and the isolation are exactly the same. The thing he's missing can't be found in a needle. He tried the civilian world, he tried his relatives, he tried the suburbs, and he tried the drugs. Nothing worked. Christopher isn't just looking for approval anymore. He's looking for some sign that all the sacrifice, all the loyalty, and all the effort to change actually meant something. He got sober, he played by the rules, and he is still completely miserable. The tragedy is that Christopher knows these people are bad for him. He just can't imagine a life without them. So he goes back to the only place he knows. He walks back into the Bing holding a drink, looking for the one thing the drugs couldn't give him.
You know what? Fuck it. Whatever he's having.
He takes the liquor because he realizes that his sobriety and his brotherhood cannot exist in the same room. He is actively choosing the mob over his own life. The alcohol hits his system, his defenses drop, and Christopher makes a fatal mistake. He tries to be emotionally vulnerable in a room full of sociopaths. He starts rambling about his newborn daughter, trying to share this profound, terrifying realization about fatherhood. He drops the mafia tough guy act entirely, standing at a bar, completely exposed, hoping for a little bit of normal reassurance from his friends. Instead of listening, they look at him like he's speaking an alien language. And then Paulie drops the hammer.
I look at her eyes, man, and she looks up. How the fuck do I put myself up for adoption?
Paulie doesn't just reject the vulnerability, he turns Christopher's bloodline into a punchline. He tells him, to his face, that his newborn daughter is destined to end up working the pole at a mob strip club.
Should be working here, so who gives a shit?
But it isn't just Paulie. Every single guy in this room is laughing at him. It completely destroys the myth of the Mafia Brotherhood. These aren't brothers. They are a pack of aging, miserable hypocrites who can only feel good about themselves by tearing down the guy at the bottom. Christopher has bled for these men. He spent his entire adult life swallowing their constant, petty abuse just to keep the illusion of this family alive. He literally just threw his own life-saving sobriety in the garbage 60 seconds ago just to sit at their table, and their immediate instinct is to spit in his face and mock his infant daughter. They are a room full of parasites, and they don't even care. They are just howling. But Christopher doesn't keep his eyes on Paulie. It isn't because the joke didn't hurt. It's because Christopher knows exactly what Paulie's value is in this world, and what he is and isn't capable of. Paulie is just a bitter, insecure bully. His respect was never the real prize. The ultimate knife twist. The moment that actually shatters Christopher is when he looks past Paulie to the center of the room. He looks at the boss. This is the man Christopher gave up his soul for.
May I burn in hell?
May I burn in hell.
I betray my friends.
If I betray my friends.
Tell me what, you come here every night.
You fucked up.
Fuck this piece of shit, I'm done. You hear me? Put my life on the line, my fucking life. I loved you.
That's the guy, Adriana.
My Uncle Tony. The guy I'm going to hell for.
And sitting right here, listening to Tony's laughter echo through the cigar smoke, Christopher finally realizes that he's already there. I haven't mentioned Adriana until this point because she is the unspeakable ghost in the room. Her death was his ultimate sacrifice, the absolute highest price a human being could pay to prove his loyalty. And it is a sacrifice that absolutely nobody in this room respects, acknowledges, or cares about. When Christopher freezes at the bar, he isn't overwhelmed with sadness because Paulie roasted him. The tears in his eyes are from the soul-crushing realization of what he gave up to be here. He sacrificed the one person on earth who truly loved him for a group of men who view him as a total joke. Even his new family was just an illusion. He didn't really love his new wife, and he didn't really want this new life. He was just trying to fake it until he made it. He was desperately hoping that if he forced a new relationship, played the role of the suburban dad, and went through the motions, he could somehow outrun the trauma of what he did. But losing Adriana left a deep, jagged scar on his soul that he was never going to recover from. It is the exact reason why his addiction became a death sentence. When Adriana was alive, Chris struggled with his demons, but he was sober more often than not. He had an anchor, but after her death, he was completely unable to quit heroin because the drug was the only thing left on earth that gave him even a fraction of peace in all that misery. Imagine the psychological torture of coming home to that cold, empty apartment every single night. The same apartment where she used to be waiting for him, where she would cook for him, smile and kiss him hello, ask about his day, and hold him when he was falling apart. To lay in the bed they made love in, completely alone in the gray quiet, with nothing but the memory of her trust. His father was gone. His mother was an alcoholic. Adriana was the one genuinely good thing he had in his miserable life. She loved him unconditionally, she trusted him completely, and he had her murdered to protect this family. He traded a beautiful, caring woman who truly supported him and wanted the absolute best for him, to go home to nothing, to nobody, just so he could stand in a dark room and be laughed at by the exact people he threw her under the bus for. He didn't just lose his status, he had absolutely nothing left.